Good evening, everyone. We'll give it about another minute or so. There's still some folks joining this evening, so we appreciate you coming out to learn more about uh, our first year experience out in Cougar Village. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you jumping in as we share some information with you and hopefully provide a space for you to ask questions about what it's going to look like to live in Cougar Village as a first year student. My name is Dan Rosner. I serve as the Associate Director for Housing Operations here at SIUE, and I'm going to introduce Rex Jackson to take over from here.
Good evening. My name is Rex Jackson, and I serve as the Associate Director for Residence Life here at SIUE.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Perjak, and I am one of our assistant directors for Residence Life, and I oversee the operations in Cougar Village. And then we have two of our community directors, one for the 500 side of Cougar Village, which is where the first year communities in Cougar Village would live, and then one for the 400 side. So I'll have Leia introduce herself, and then Shania.
Hi everyone, I am Leia McDonald and I will be a community director for the 500 side of Cougar Village.
Hi everyone, my name is Shania Thomas. I am the community director for the 400 side of Cougar Village.
Right, and then you'll also see on there the name Maureen. She is our assistant community director, so that is a graduate student that supervises the desk operations for the 500 side. She's not in here, but that's who that person is. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump into what we have to talk about. So some of you may have already been on campus and seen the space, but if you haven't, we'll kind of talk through what we have. So every apartment will have a fully functioning kitchen. So that comes with a stove, which is an electric stove. It comes with a refrigerator, a sink, tons of cabinet space, everything you might need there in the kitchen. Living room and dining room area, which is furnished. So in the picture there, you can see that there is a table with two chairs in there, in that living room area. And then, or in the dining room area, and then the living room area, there's a couch, there's some side tables, two chairs. That is all part of the furnishing in there. There's a full bathroom. So that comes with your typical sink, toilet, shower. You do have to bring a shower curtain, but all of that is in the bathroom. And then what you're seeing is two shared bedrooms. So there's two residents per bedroom, two beds. I think in the picture those look like they're bunked, which you can do, but usually there'd be two beds in there, two dressers, closet space, two desks, that kind of stuff. There is a patio or a balcony. So if you are on the first floor, you have a patio space with a sliding glass door that you can set some furniture up on. There's no furniture included, but you could set some stuff out there. And then if you're on the second floor, you would have a balcony. So the way to tell that is if you are in 520, if it says 1A, that means you're on the first floor. If it would say 2A, that would mean you're on the second floor. Every resident does get an extra long twin bed, a desk and a chair, and a dresser in the bedroom, like we'd mentioned. Wi-Fi is included, water is included, electric is included, all that kind of stuff, trash. All those bills are all wrapped into what you're already paying. So that is all included in that price. So the cluster of buildings that we have for the first year community is all clustered together, which is intentional. So you're living around other first year students. That cluster of buildings is also really close to the Cougar Village Commons building, which is kind of a hub for a lot of different things. So it was very intentional that we put this community near that so you all have quick access to that building. So in that building is where you pick up packages. So anytime you send packages to campus, They all purposely come to the Cougar Village Commons instead of just in front of your apartment door to avoid them being stolen, Amazon delivering them to the wrong place, whatever that may be. So your packages get delivered to the Cougar Village Commons. We check them in, so we show that there was that transaction that they came into our building, and then you come and pick them up there. That is also where the laundry is. For the 500 side is in that facility. The laundry is free. And so it is swipe access. So when you have your student ID, you'll use that to swipe in there to make sure that we have only our residents using that facility. But you go in there and then you put your laundry in and push it and go. So that is free and included in what you're already paying. The Cougar Village Commons is also where you check your mailbox. It is in the lower level of the Cougar Village Commons. Your key that gets you into your apartment also gets you into your mailbox. So you just have to worry about one key. You do share that mailbox with all of your roommates and suite mates. So you just go down there, find your apartment number, key in, and check the mail. That is where all of our university housing staff is at. So everybody in here that, or some of us that are in here that introduce ourselves. So myself, Leia, and Shania, our offices are up in there. So if you're having issues with anything on campus, or with your housing, you can always come up there during normal business hours, and then we'll talk through in a little bit how to get a hold of people after that. But that is how you can come get a hold of some people if you need to talk through any issues you're having, or just get to know us. We do have events up there, so we have a multi-function space where your RAs or we will plan some events, so you're going to be really close to that space. There's a computer lab up there. You can print in there. You have to pay to print, but if you need to print something off real quick, you can just walk over to the Commons, go in there and print something out from that space. There is also a study lounge in there if you just needed a space outside of your apartment to go study. And there is also a small workout facility in the lower level that is also swipe access. So you can go in there. There's a little bit of weights in there, but it's mostly treadmills and cardio equipment that you can use up at the common space. So again, that is all as close to the community that you all will live in that we could get. So you have quick access to all of those amenities. So while you're here, it is a space for you to live and make sure you're having that bed to lay your head on, but we are also putting on different things for you. And so part of that, we have what we call Cougar Chats. So I'm going to kind of go a little bit out of order here. Each building does have an RA. We very intentionally for this community have lowered the ratio of resident to RA. So there's each building will have its own RA. So about 30 residents per RA, which is about half of what it normally is in Cougar Village. Very intentionally. So that RA will about once a month try to get a hold of you. And they're just trying to get to know you. They want to know how classes are going. If you're connecting with your roommates or if you're having any roommate issues, if you are connecting to organizations on campus, if you're experiencing homesickness or whatever that may be, that RA is there to connect with you so you get to know them, and then they're a resource for you throughout the year and can help you through a lot of different issues and connect you to different resources on campus. And then they're also planning events for you all. Mostly for that community will be some social stuff. They're really going to be intentional about trying to get you all connected to main campus for their programming. And so a lot of what you're going to see your RA doing is, hey, at 5:30, we're all going to get together. We'll walk over to the bus and let's ride the bus to campus together so we can attend something on campus. So we're making sure that you all are still getting connected to the main campus and the events that are going on, even though you're living out with us in Cougar Village in the apartment style community, is what they'll be focused on. You will be living with other first year students. And so, like we said before, we've intentionally made this cluster of all first year students. The people that live in your apartment will be first year students. The only caveat may be is if you happen to live with the RA, they could be a sophomore or a junior. But for the most part, you're living with all first year students. And so it's really important, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, that you all are doing roommate agreements, which your RA can show you how to do, that when you first get there, you're sitting down and setting some expectations for the year and making sure that you all know where your boundaries are, where the other roommates' boundaries are, and make sure that you can live in cohesion throughout the year. We do also have on-call staff. So I talked about how you can come up to the Commons to get to know our housing staff. throughout the day. Once those business hours end, we do have RAs that are on call. And so you can call the Commons front desk to get a hold of them. But if there is any type of situation that's going on after office hours, whether it's facilities related, um, some other type of crisis, a roommate got hurt, needs an ambulance, whatever that might be, we have someone you can get a hold of 24/7. So during the day, that's our staff up at the Commons. At night, we have our RAs that are on call that can also get connected to PD, who is patrolling in the area. There is a community director or assistant community director that's on call above them to provide them some support. And then there's also a leadership team member kind of at my level also on call to provide layers of support if there's any crisis going on at night. So it's really important that you all know for that safety and security piece, where we may not have that 24/7 desk that the halls might have, that we do still have RAs that are on call. Someone is available to get a hold of 24/7 if you need them.
All right, so we've talked about the shelter that we're going to provide and some of the activities. So let's talk about food. So hopefully you all remember, but when you applied for housing, you were required to select a meal plan as well. You are required to have a meal plan in your first year. However, things might change from the time you applied and selected your meal plan to when you get onto campus. So you can change your meal plan up until 2 weeks into the semester and then in between semesters. To do that, you just log into My Housing and you can fill out the request to modify your meal plan. The meal plan is used at all the dining service locations. Which a lot of them are located in the Morris University Center. And then at any point in time, you're more than welcome to add more money to your meal plan, and you can do that through the Get app in case that you use more than expected or just want to add some additional cushion as you enjoy our fine campus dining offerings throughout the semester.
All right, so since you're living with us out in Cougar Village, you are a little bit farther from campus than you would be in one of our residence halls. So there's multiple ways for you to get to campus quickly. So we have bike paths from the MCT bike trails that do connect directly to campus. You can walk over there on those bike trails. You can take your bike on those bike trails and get right up to your classes fairly quickly. I think from where this cluster of buildings is, it's probably a 20 to 30-minute walk if you wanted to take that path. Obviously quicker if you're on a bike or a skateboard or something like that. So that is an option to get to campus. We do have a Cougar Shuttle, which is an MCT bus that does run, when it says every 10 minutes, they are very, very regular. And that is on weekdays until about 11 p.m. They run every 10 minutes. The bus stop is just on the other side of the Cougar Village Commons, and so it's still fairly close to where you will be living and located. That's what most of our students in Cougar Village are taking, is most of them are hopping on that bus. It gets them really close to class. You're not messing with parking or anything like that. And it's running very regular. So if you're walking up there and you see the bus pulling away, you know in 10 minutes another bus is coming right back around. On the weekdays or the weekends, it does still run, but it's running a little bit more like once every hour instead of once every 10 minutes. And so in the Cougar Village Commons, we do have the pamphlets from MCT that talks a little bit more about the bus system. And that is free to get you from Cougar Village up on the main campus near Peck and Rendleman Hall. You can also connect from there to get to Walmart and other places in Edwardsville if you need to get some grocery shopping done and things like that too. So it does connect in those ways. So there is parking available all around in Cougar Village, and there's plenty of parking around this cluster of buildings that you all will be living in. So if you have a vehicle that you want to bring to campus, more than welcome to do so. And you have parking that is close by. When you go to purchase your parking pass, you'll purchase the yellow parking pass, which allows you to park in Cougar Village and any red lots around campus. So we do have a wide variety of outdoor spaces for you all to utilize when you're living in Cougar Village. So yes, you're going to class and you're studying and you're doing your homework. But part of living on campus is also leisure time, getting some self-care time, and doing stuff outside of your room. And so we have plenty of rec spaces. So there's a sand volleyball court that's pretty close to the Cougar Village Commons. There is a basketball court that's right across from the Commons. There's a tennis court that also has some lines for pickleball drawn on it. And you can rent equipment for any of those up at the Cougar Village Commons. That is one of the things that I didn't mention earlier at the Commons is you can rent any equipment for that if you don't have your own. We're really seeing pickleball start to pick up. A lot of people don't have the equipment for that when they first want to try it out. So you can always get the equipment there. There's also board games and stuff like that that you can rent from up there. On the 400 side, which I know is hard to show without having pictures, but just across the road there is the Cougar Lake, which you can fish in. There's some walking paths right around it. Great place to go for a walk. So you can spend some time going around the Cougar Lake. Sitting by the Cougar Lake, there's some benches. There's a really nice basketball court that's right by the Cougar Lake that when I was younger, if I was a student here, I would have been playing a lot of basketball right on that court specifically, I think. And then the SIUE Gardens is within walking distance or short drive from where these apartments are at, which is a really nice gardens that SIUE maintains. Also really nice walking, some beautiful flowers in there, very shaded. So even if it's a little bit warm, it's a really nice place to walk. Even with all the shade, really pretty in the fall when the leaves start to turn. And then we have some picnic tables all around Cougar Village if you just want to get outside. There's some locations to a couple trees and stuff like that if you really wanted to hang up a hammock or something like that to swing from that. But all of that space outdoors, it's kind of tucked away in the woods a little bit. And so you can really kind of get outside and spend some time in nature if you just need to get out of your room. All right, so if there are maintenance issues, so UHFM is our University Housing Facilities Management. So we do have our own facilities management team that is specific to housing. And then main campus has its own facilities management. So that's nice because our staff are only working on housing issues, which is great. We're not trying to fight over needing people to come out and do work. So if when you move in, you see some issues, we'll talk about what to do when we talk about room pact. But if throughout the year you're just in your space and an issue pops up in your space, this is the link to a maintenance request. Your RA can always get this link to you if you need it in the future. So don't feel like you gotta remember this link for forever at this point. But if a light bulb goes out or your lock on your door stops working, the sliding door isn't locking anymore, whatever that may be, if it's non-emergency, I would use this work order link. If it's 3 a.m. and it's the middle of winter and your heat goes out, we do have the ability to call out staff if it's an emergency. What you would do is get a hold of that RA on call, which if the Commons is open, they're open till 11 p.m. each night, you're calling the Commons front desk. If the Commons is closed, that's when you're calling University PD and they will get a hold of us. But if there's some sort of maintenance issue, if there's water coming from your ceiling or something like that, anything that's more emergent, you get a hold of someone and we can call our university facilities management team out to take care of that also. That's an instance where you're not using that work order link, right? Like you need those moments where like I need someone right now, you get a hold of our on-call staff. This work order link is I'm going to put in this form. They're going to see it tomorrow, process it, and get someone out the next day or two to come fix it. So that's what that link is for. And we're there to fix any issues that pop up in your space.
One thing I will say about that link is you have to be on the campus network in order for that link to work. So you can submit a work order. So mom, dad cannot submit one on your behalf from home. So that just wanted to throw that out there. A part of your residential experience will be getting access to Room Pact. Room Pact is an online community that we use for all of our different housing communities. Think of it as kind of a Facebook-like setup. You have a community hub where announcements can be posted, where you can ask questions of the folks in your community. You can engage with your RA through asking questions. You can email your RA through it. This is where you can, you'll go into RoomPact to complete your roommate agreement, which cannot stress enough how important it is for you to do your roommate agreement. Living and sharing a space with folks, whether you're related to them or not, is never an easy thing. And one thing that can help is taking the time to set expectations as a group and complete that roommate agreement. If you invest the time early on, it will help you avoid a lot of stressful situations later on in the semester when your academic workload has gone up and you don't really have the capacity to deal with a cleaning issue or a guest issue. So please take the time to do that. It's a process. We walk you through common conflict points and encourage you to kind of come up with a plan ahead of time so that everyone's on the same page about things and that your living environment is as comfortable for everyone as it can be. In RoomPact, you can also find the schedule for various housing events. We track attendance at our events through RoomPact, but you can also submit various forms through RoomPact. A couple of forms. One of the first ones that we'll encourage you to do, it's called the room condition report form. And basically it allows you, once you move in, the next day you should have access to RoomPact, and you can go in, and that form just allows you to report anything in your space that doesn't seem right. Say there is a smudge on the wall, or there was a light that's not working or something like that. You can put it on the form. It'll alert staff. RAs will follow up on things, help people do work orders for things that can be fixed. And then we'll just note, like if there was a stain on a tile, like we'll have that noted if you do that form. That way, when it comes to May and you're moving out, we already know that that existed when you moved in, kind of thing. So it saves you on the back end for potentially being charged for anything that was already existing in your space. So encourage you to take time to complete that form in there. But we also recognize that sometimes conflict happens and you might need some assistance navigating that. And so through RoomPact, you can request a mediation. Where a staff member doesn't necessarily have to be your RA, but a staff member will sit down with you and whoever the conflict is to kind of help you navigate that to a resolution of some sort. We will also send out communication through RoomPact, quick little surveys, text messages about events and things like that. It's just one way of tracking communication and keeping everyone engaged in an online format with their community.
All right, and speaking of your roommate, you all, if you have a housing placement, should have gotten an email that tells you where that is. It should also include your roommate information. So you should know who is also placed in your space, both your roommate who shares your bedroom with you and your suite mates who are in the other bedroom. It should have their emails included in there. So strongly encourage you to, while you don't need to do the roommate agreement yet, and you won't be able to, start those conversations and start reaching out to start making those connections. So when you move in, day one is not the first time you've met them, or not the first time you've connected at least. It's a great chance to start talking about who's bringing what. Especially the things that aren't in the space. So, right, there's not a microwave in the space. There's not TVs in the space. So one person may be like, hey, I've got a TV I can bring. Can you bring the microwave? I can bring a shower curtain. Whatever kind of stuff. I can bring the PlayStation. If you can bring the Xbox, whatever that might be for your space. Starting those conversations, and that way you're not packing stuff that you don't need because someone else might already have it, or purchasing stuff that you don't need because somebody already has it. So, encourage you all to start those outreaches now if you haven't already. I promise you they're eager to connect with you too. So it just takes that first person sometimes to kind of lead that charge. But I promise everybody's eager to connect. You can talk about how you want to decorate the space. You can talk about what your class schedules are and start getting a sense of like this person's going to be getting up a little bit earlier, and start kind of planning some of that stuff and get to know each other, potentially add each other on social media, stuff like that, to get that ball rolling. So when you get here for a move in, you've all got a little bit of a sense of each other, when you get here.
So hopefully you all are excited about move-in, because we are very excited to welcome you to campus and specifically to Cougar Village. So your particular move-in day is Wednesday, August 19th. As part of your assignment information, information was sent out about selecting your move-in time slot. So please make sure you go in and do that. The way we have check-in working out in Cougar Village is it's a drive-through check-in process. So you will pull your vehicle, the vehicle with the student will pull into parking lot 4A and staff will direct you around. We will come up to your vehicle, get your student ID, get you checked in, get you your key, a temporary pass to park on the driving sidewalk, and then you'll be released and directed over to your particular building so you can move in. So check-in ends in the parking lot at 1:30 p.m. So if you come after 1:30 p.m., you would head directly to the Commons building check-in. Same process if if you're delayed and end up coming on Friday, whatever reason, you just head straight to the Commons on that day. We will have student volunteers who we call our move-in crew out there to assist you with getting your stuff unloaded from your vehicle and up into your apartment. We will also there will just be additional staff kind of around in that community, staff associated with all the welcome events, housing staff. So should you have questions, run into issues, those kinds of things, there will be a nice presence during your move-in time. Keep in mind that to get to second floor apartments, those are stairs. So just in terms of if you have folks coming with you that might have some mobility challenges, if you are on a second floor, there's no elevators in these Cougar Village apartments, it's just stairs. So keep that in mind. And when you come in, you'll be able to park next to your building to unload. In the main cluster, there is kind of a driving pathway that will get folks kind of in between their buildings. But then the parking lot wraps around the buildings pretty nicely. So you are very fortunate. You get to park a lot closer to your buildings than other first-year students. So congratulations on that. But that's your move-in, and hopefully we will have nice weather. Unfortunately, move-in happens whether it rains or it's sunshine, so just keep an eye on the weather and plan accordingly. But we'll hope for nice weather, and we'll get you very efficiently checked in so you can get settled into your space. I do want to highlight that MCT, they are starting their 10-minute rotation during move-in week, because they do know that we have a population of first-year students out in Cougar Village, and that you have welcome activities happening. So MCT will be running there every 10 minutes to facilitate that. And we will have staff throughout after move-in helping all of you navigate getting to the main part of campus for all of the welcome sessions and events and activities, so that you can start feeling connected to the larger campus community.
All right, and we have a QR code there if you want to do a 3D virtual tour of one of our apartments. When you come onto campus for orientation later in the summer, we do also offer in-person tours at that time, that one of our Cougar Village staff can show you one of the apartments, one of the tour apartments. Or you can, if you're on campus another time, you can always stop by admissions and they have a key that they can give you that you can go kind of do a self-guided tour if you happen a little bit closer to campus or in the area for another reason. So if you want to see that space beforehand, there's a couple different options to do that. Right, so we're happy to answer some questions, but there's also the links on here for emails and phone numbers. So you have the central housing office that's handling meal plans, placement information. You have payment questions, things like that. Never a bad spot to start. If you have a general question, central housing can generally get you where you need to go. But you also have my email and phone number on there, and then Leah, who is your community director. That's why it's mainly her email and phone number that are on there. And then make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. There's a ton of updates posted on there all the time too. Bridget does a great job posting stuff on those social media sites.
Thanks, Brandon. We can now open it up for questions. So feel free to use the Q&A feature on the webinar. You can just click the Q&A button near the top of your screen. If you're on a mobile device, you might need to tap the video to pull up the menu. But feel free to jump in and ask any questions, and we're happy to assist.
I see a question in there that asks if a student can have a toaster. Yes, students in Cougar Village can have a toaster. That would be a little bit different than the first Charles. That's kind of the benefit of having the full kitchen.
Yep. So one thing with kitchen appliances out in Cougar Village is you can have um, most kitchen appliances. Um, so sometimes we again similar to like air fryers and toasters, and we see crock pots, those kinds of things that are not traditionally allowed in the first year communities because you have the dedicated kitchen as well as fire safety equipment in those spaces.
So the next question that I see here, places to eat at Cougar Village. Unfortunately, there are no meal dining options out in Cougar Village. There is some vending in the commons, but the core of campus is where all dining services are located.
Dining is going to, so dining has two different I would consider them kind of convenience store grab and go type areas outside of center court, which if you've attended orientation is probably where you've eaten downstairs. But Union Station as well as Chemega Mart offer some grab and go options that you can bring back to your apartment. One of the initiatives that Dining Services is doing is they are creating a market area in Union Station that will have more options for food items that you can cook in your space. And they plan to have some tips and other things to make it a little bit more exciting than just boxed food, but ways to kind of spice it up and those kinds of things. So definitely be on the lookout for more information. We hope to share with our Meal Plan 101 email that will go out in the middle of August, right as meal plans are loaded onto students' cards.
All right. The next couple questions. Yes, there's no microwave in the apartment, so the student would have to bring a microwave if they would like to have one. So that's why I encourage talking with the roommates and seeing if someone might have one already before bringing your own. But yes, you students would be responsible for bringing your microwave. And then, is there a fire extinguisher? Yes, there is a fire extinguisher in the apartment that gets checked. And so that is in there. We encourage making sure your students know how to use those. Talk with them about grease fires and all that kind of stuff. Only putting the fire extinguisher on any grease fires.
So there is a wattage limit on microwaves, and it is 800 watts.
How to tell if you are on the first or second floor. So I'm using 520 as an example, but so 520 is one of our building numbers. And then the next number after that, if it is a 1, you are on the first floor. If it is a 2, you are on the second floor. Um, and then what programs are in place to keep the first years in Cougar Village informed and engaged? Yes, the first year areas on campus do have regular programs, and Cougar Village does too. But we have intentionally picked RAs who are better suited to work with first year students, and we've lowered that ratio so it's about 30 residents to those RAs. So they know they're working with first year students, and so while they were going to do programming anyway, they will tailor it to first year students. And again, we are intentionally making it so that those RAs are primarily getting residents together and taking them to main campus so that they're still engaged with main campus, right? Like we want your students to get engaged with the student organization. And so maybe it's taking them to an event on campus the student organization is putting on, or whatever might be going on, a sporting event on main campus, something that our Kimmel is putting on. That's why they're taking them to there. Their RAs also have bulletin boards that will keep them informed of different things going on campus. We'll have flyers around the building, like we talked about with Room Pact. We'll send out messages with events going on. So all the same things that those residents in the first year buildings on main campus are getting, we're getting out here too. It's just getting to campus takes a second longer to attend those events.
I would definitely encourage your students to check for our weekly newsletter that goes out every Monday that lists different things that are happening both within university housing as well as across campus. I will say that sometimes they can be a little long, but it is because it's inclusive of a lot of different items that are happening on campus. The other piece that I'd like to mention as well is campus uses a platform called Starfish, which provides academic alerts. So for students that may not be attending class, maybe they're disengaged during class, maybe they're not performing as well. We receive alerts when faculty put those alerts out there, and we do follow up with students. So that's a way for us to kind of get ahead of if a student maybe isn't attending class. Faculty can also do kudos as well, and so we do try to follow up there. But our primary responsibility is checking in on students that may be starting to disengage from their coursework. I do see the question about move-in. Move-in for Cougar Village will run from 10:30 to 1:30. And it is designed that way so that so we can optimize our volunteer move-in crew folks. Your student should have received a reminder email today regarding their move-in, their time slot to pick their move-in appointment. And those will open up starting tomorrow. So I would have your student check their email about when they can log into My Housing to pick their move-in appointment. And you can do that. You can come anytime at your move-in appointment or after. You just can't come before. And that's so that we can kind of best manage traffic and parking around the buildings as well.
But please,
I'll take this slide. Oh, go ahead.
I would just say, please note that our move-in crew, our extra helpers and extra staff ends at 1:30 on your move-in day. So if you do come in later, totally fine, but you will not have the extra assistance.
And then we did get a question about canceling your meal plan. All first-year students are required to have a meal plan. So regardless if they live in a residence hall or if they're one of the first-year students living in Cougar Village, if they graduated high school within the last 12 months, they are required to have a meal plan. What I would recommend though is, the meal plan that you selected may have been larger than maybe what you thought, because now that you have access to a kitchen, so you could go to the Cougar Basic plan is the lowest plan that would be eligible. So you can still utilize your kitchen and those types of things. And your meal plan does roll from fall to spring. So whatever you don't use in the fall will roll to your spring account, and then anything after that is forfeit from there.
There is a question about, can we change the furniture in the living room? No, you cannot remove any of the furniture that is provided in the living space. You are more than welcome to bring in additional chairs if you would like, but all the furniture that university housing provides has to stay in that living space. The next question.
Can I jump in real quick too?
Yeah.
One other thing to note related to furniture is students are not able to mount anything on the walls. So like TVs
Mm.
cannot be mounted to the walls. It's just a significant safety risk. But I have seen students bring the furniture that has like the built-in kind of stand that they can hang their TV on, but it's attached to the furniture versus the wall. So just wanted to point that out.
You do not need to bring curtains for bedroom windows or the patio door. Those kind of curtains are provided. The only curtain you need to bring is a shower curtain. Got to have that. You are more than welcome if you have other fabric that you kind of want to drape over the provided curtains. You are more than welcome to kind of do that kind of decorating, but curtains are provided.
The patio door also it locks itself, but you also do provide kind of a wooden door stopper to kind of get that extra security for that patio door. If your apartment's missing one when you move in, you can pick one up from the Cougar Village Commons. So, what time does the shuttle start and stop? I know, so every 10 minutes, I think usually starts around 7 a.m. And
Yes.
runs to about 11. I don't know if either one of you know how often the bus runs after that.
I just posted a link under that question to the schedule. You do want to check kind of in the green bars where it says like Monday through Friday. There are different times during the fall and spring semester than there are during kind of the off academic calendar days. So like during break weeks or during summer, the schedule is adjusted. But for the 16-week fall semester and spring semester, it will that first kind of section is what it runs every 10 minutes. So from about 7 a.m. All the way, it looks like after like 11:30 or so at night.
And then someone else asked if the shuttle was year round. Just while we're talking about that, it is, but it does like in the summer, it's running on that more like 1 hour every hour or so it's coming through. So it does do a little. It's not doing that every 10 minutes, but it's running on the weekends. It's running throughout the year if you're staying out Cougar Village, not on a school day. So. How does the mailing work and how do you receive items ordered? So everything that you order comes to the Cougar Village Commons, whether it's paper mail or if it's a package. It's really important you are putting your full name on the items with your apartment number. If you just put your first name, sometimes the full apartment number doesn't make it, and then we have a hard time deciphering who it's for. So it's important to put your full apartment number and your full name. And then paper mail goes into your mailbox that you just go into with your key, your front door key. And then packages get put into our package room, which is secured. And then you just go to the front desk worker and they can get it for you and you sign it out. So to pick up either one of those, it does have to be during when Cougar Village Commons is open, which during the week is 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then during the weekend, it's usually 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Dimensions of the furniture for furniture cover. So it is the bed is a twin XL twin bed. I don't know if we're talking about furniture covers for the couch and chairs. That I'm not as 100% sure on. But you're welcome if you come for orientation, you come for a tour. You're welcome to bring a tape measure or anything like that if you want to measure some stuff. You are more than welcome to do that.
The 3D tour, if you go into the 3D tour, and I'll put that link under that under that question as well. There is when you click start tour and it loads up, if you go to the bottom left corner, there's a ruler icon and you can click that and it will give you real-time measurements of you can measure the curtain or the sliding glass door, you could measure the countertop, any of those different things, and they should be pretty accurate. I'm not sure about the Remind group. Do we know?
I'm not sure.
The Remind group is not something through University Housing. The main apps that University Housing uses include My Housing, which is the self-service housing portal for students. It's where you've applied for housing. It's where you'll pick your move-in appointment, all the meal plan changes, those types of things. And then Room Packed is the second one. You will be able to log into Room Packed after you, usually about 24 hours after you check in to housing. In your welcome email that you get when you check in and pick up your keys, it'll have a link to Room Packed there as well. But those are the two primary services that we use. Any other questions?
So what we've done is the first year residents that are assigned in Cougar Village, we've put them into a cluster. So and assigned them to buildings together. So while there are a few upper class apartments around where the first year students will be, the majority of your neighbors are going to be other first year students. The cluster is 520 through 525. Which hopefully you can see on your screen now, and then 531. So that's where the first year community will be.
And the Commons building, as Brandon was sharing, is located right here. And there is parking available at the Commons, but as you can see, there is ample parking all the way around this area as well. And then the bus stop is located in lot 5F, so just past the Commons building. And that runs every 10 minutes as well. Yeah, I'm happy to answer the question. So we had gotten a couple requests from students that were assigned out to Cougar Village, um, essentially really wanting to live in a residence hall. As everybody here probably knows, the demand for housing is incredibly high this year. And while we were able to get everybody into Bluff Prairie or Woodland in a standard suite style room if they applied by May 1st, we did have to use overflow housing in both Cougar Village, as well as we've converted our study lounges into spaces where students can live as well. The lounges are converted into bedrooms, and there's 3 students per lounge. It is larger than a standard bedroom. But because we've gotten some requests from some Cougar Village residents about really wanting to live in Bluff Prairie or Woodland, now they don't get to select which building. We have offered the opportunity as we've gotten some cancellations from some students. If you're interested in living in Bluff Prairie or Woodland, you can respond to that email, but you will be assigned to a temporary lounge assignment. With the temporary lounge assignments, as we receive cancellations, not just over the summer, but during the course of the year, and especially during the fall semester, as we have spaces open up in traditional suite style bedrooms, we will work through an application date received order to move students out of the lounges into a permanent assignment. So while you may move to a lounge to move in, and that you can opt in via that email, you would likely have to move again during the year, whereas your Cougar Village assignment is a permanent year-long housing assignment. So it's kind of up to you in terms of what experience you're looking for. We've had students live in lounges both last year and in prior years that have had positive experiences and enjoyed living in Bluff Prairie Woodland. However, as Brandon and Rex have shared, our team has worked diligently to create an experience that mirrors the Bluff Prairie and Woodland experience in Cougar Village by converting a cluster of apartments of almost 200 students, 200 first year students, that will live together and enjoy the same types of programs and events that students in other spaces on campus live in. So that's kind of a little bit more about what that opt-in looks like. If you have questions, happy to chat with you kind of on a about what you're looking for. I would definitely encourage you to give our office a call tomorrow, the Central Housing Office, the 3931, and we're kind of happy to talk through what that looks like and really what that means if you're interested in that.
And you got the next question too.
Yes. Yes. So if students have medical accommodations, medical or psychological housing accommodations or needs, you would need to register with Access. It's siub.edu/access, and I'll put that link in the box as well. When you register with their office, you'll have to submit any supporting medical documentation from a licensed medical professional. Their staff will review the request and then work with our office on what the accommodations would look like. The one piece with accommodations, however, it is dependent on space availability. Right now, we do not have any private bedrooms available. We are using every space because of the demand for housing. The priority deadline for accommodations align with our housing priority deadline of May 1st. And so, again, we were able to guarantee all of the students that applied by that date with accommodations. As space becomes available, a student that has an accommodation that's not been met yet, we would work through those in accommodation received order, and we will continue to work through those throughout the year. But there's not a hard timeline on when those would become available because it is very dependent on space availability.
The next question. Oh, go ahead.
So my gut reaction to a question about putting floor tiles on the floor is that, are you absolutely positive it will not leave any kind of residue or cause any damage to the existing floor? If you are absolutely sure, you could try some, but you can't. I would just advise against it. I don't think it's a good idea. It most likely will cause damage that you would then be charged for. So the most aggressive adhesive I would use in your apartment is blue painter's tape. I wouldn't get any more aggressive than that for any decorating purposes.
The floors are tile already. They're not carpet. So if you kind of prefer a tile floor, that is what they are.
Yes,
we do have some students that bring rugs to kind of offer a different space. Sometimes I've seen them in living rooms. Sometimes I've seen them in bedrooms. Again, I would definitely talk with your roommates about like in terms of like how you want to decorate and what items to bring.
Yes, the shuttle. There is a shuttle that runs year-round from Cougar Village to the main part of campus. It's just the frequency will depend on the time of year. So when classes are in session, starting at 7 a.m. until the evening time, there's a 10-minute shuttle. After that, it's spaced. It's not as frequent.
For appliances, you can still bring a mini fridge. Though I will say they're not as common in Cougar Village as they are in the halls because you have that full-size refrigerator. But the limit there is it has to be less than 5 cubic feet. The only other big appliance restrictions, you would not be able to you cannot bring like a dishwasher or really anything that has a large water reservoir, just because they are prone to leak and can cause some pretty significant damage to spaces. In terms of cooking appliances, though, I don't believe that there are really any other restrictions. They kind of cycle through depending on like what the fad of the year is. I remember a number of years ago, like every student had like the pizza ovens that sat, like the ones that spun. air fryers have kind of maintained their significant lead in terms of the versatile appliance. I do think that we have some students that though that are bringing like the small, they need to be small so they fit, but the smaller ice makers, we have seen a little bit of a rise in those.
Yeah, I would just encourage you to, again, talk with your roommates because you don't need 4 toasters. So, and one, it'll save you some money, potentially, but so talk with your roommates on who's bringing what, because there's also limited amount of space and 4 people are sharing this kitchen. So just keep that in mind. Any other last minute questions? You owe me a Coke now, Dan.
The recording of this webinar will be posted online under the that Cougar Village housing or first year housing page. So if you need to refer back to it, you can absolutely do that. But again, don't hesitate to contact our office. During business hours, we also have a chat feature on the housing application through My Housing that our team races to answer questions. So any way that's easy to connect with us, happy to do that.
Yes, crock pots are allowed.
Your move-in time, your time slots have not started yet. Those will start tomorrow. I would encourage you, you should have received an email today that has when your day and time is to select your move-in appointment. So I would check that email for that time. If you need help, or you can't find it, you can always email housing@siub.edu. Our team will also call people usually same day past their appointment as kind of a courtesy reminder as well. So you will, and you'll also receive emails if you've not selected a time too. Okay. Well, if there are any other questions, please connect with our office. We're open 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. You can send us an email at housing@siub.edu or give us a call at 650-3931-618 area code. And we're happy to help. The times aligned to apartment or sign up date. No, every residential student that needed a move-in time, it is randomized, and it's just to kind of help with the overall load in the online system. So you could sit with your roommate and pick similar times. It's kind of up to you, depending on what's available when you select your move-in appointment time. So, well, thank you all for coming out, and we look forward to each of you joining our community. Thank you.